Okay, now this is part 3 of the dislikable dude, myself, versus Matt Broomfield about regarding your first series of comments about 3 of my videos. I had to get me a little bit of shut eye, so I had to take a bit of a break so I could do that. I average about an hour and a half a night, in case that's not obvious. But anyways, getting back to our comments, I believe we left off here about the fact that I need to remember, and as you said, I need to remember that there are people alive right now who participated in the Black Civil Rights Movement of the 60s. Now, this comment I believe I addressed partially, but there are a couple things I still needed to say about it. A couple points I wanted to make. I absolutely do remember that. In fact, I know and have known quite a few black people who and white people, incidentally, who did participate in that movement back in the 60s. And they are really cool, and I respect them. Do I ever refer to them in a friendly manner, so to speak, as nigger? No, I don't, because that's out of respect for them. I did not use the word nigger if you don't like it. Just, I guess in the same way, like if someone wants to smoke a cigarette in front of you, but you don't smoke or have recently quit, then they'll say, okay, well, I'm still going to smoke, but I'm going to go over there and do it. And so it's really that simple. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. That's really neither me or you to judge, however way. But the bottom line is, yeah, I know and have known people part of this movement, and I do, and I respect those people as long as they're respectful toward me, which for the most part they have been. So that's really all I ask. In fact, there's this one dude in particular I know. He was in that movement about that time, and he has this. He's like a philosopher. He's like this really smart philosopher as well, which is really neat. So we always have interesting conversations. He believes in the power of thought. If you think something, it may happen. And we're all here because of thought, in a manner of speaking. I mean, this doesn't come close to anything like what he's saying or actually talking about, but that is just a basic, just maybe one snippet, just a bit of it that I just wanted to point out just for reference. Maybe I'll address this in another video. But anyway, okay. Again, I wasn't aware of the fact that you were. Well, what do you guys call it over there? That's one thing I meant to ask you. Over there in Great Britain, because here we were told to call black people African Americans, which, as I said before, was bullshit fucking nonsense. But would it be a person of African descent, possibly? Maybe so, I don't know, but it would be interesting to know, just for curiosity's sake. Again, I place no judgment whatsoever on whatever your racial makeup or heritage is, regardless. I mean, you could be half black, half Martian, for all I care. I mean, it doesn't fucking matter either way. As long as you're a good guy, which I believe you are, based on your feedback that you took the time to write me, which I appreciate. So yeah, that's good. I would like to know that if you care to explain. But anyways, yeah, Yeah, I was not aware of that about. Oh, and the circumstances of your father. Recall to Galveston. Was he in the military service or something? And I know that it's interesting you mentioned 1964 because that was the time. That was the year that the civil rights law was passed in this country, which is another interesting fact that I'll have to say for another time. Yeah, so if people remain sensitive about issues that are still current, then I think that they can be forgiven, even though it's to their detriment to have chips on their shoulders. Yes, they should be forgiven, and yes, it is a detriment. Suppose your mother died. This is a good one. Suppose your mother died and I kept calling you zombie mom. Is there ever a time when that's acceptable? When when that wouldn't hurt you? Some words are simply so loaded with negativity that they can never either ordinary language without risk. So why force the issue? That's a good point, reasonable. As I said before, I think we may have discussed this earlier. It's not so much the word itself, but in the context in which it's used. Like, for instance, your example. You say that if my mother died and you referred to me as, did I get this correctly? You kept calling me zombie mom. I guess what you meant was that my mom being dead would mean that my mother was a zombie, hence I would be the son of a zombie mother. So I guess I'm assuming that's what you meant. So again, it just depends on the context. If you were somebody I didn't know very well at all, and and you meant that as an insult to me, against the fact that my mother was dead, and you're like, hey, yeah, you fucking piece of shit, yeah, your mother's a zombie, fuck you, right, yeah, god damn, you fucking zombie mom, motherfucker, you, ah! Then I would most likely take offense to that. But if we were good friends and I had known you for a long time, or at least knew you well, or at least fairly well, then and I knew for a fact of judgment that you were merely making a joke and just kidding about the whole situation. But then at the same time, I know that as a good friend, you'd be like, hey man, I'm really sorry about your mother. But hey, but well, again, it's all relative. I'll admit that that would be in poor taste, but if we were really good friends and everything, I would not be offended. Um, in fact, Mom had probably. Oh, well, recently she that almost did happen actually to tell you something, but luckily she came back from the dead and kicked breast cancer in the ass. So she's doing all right now. But I think my mom herself actually would understand, as long as you weren't being a jerk about it, as long as we were good friends and all that thing. But yeah, that's just it's just a whole other complicated issue there. Damn it, I'm gonna run out of time soon. I may have to make one more of these. Damn it. Um, all right, so yeah, as I said, it just depends not on the word itself, but in the context in which you're using it. For one, like the word in question here, nigger, that can mean a disparaging term for a black person. or it can also simply mean a disparaging term for an uneducated person. But to most people don't realize that. They as you said, associate that word with slave masters dominating their black slaves, which is understandable. So why force the issue? I force the issue because I believe in the freedom of speech and the fact that, well, actually, I don't know if you know about this, but our Congress over here is trying to change that and has been for quite some time. But I believe if we want to eliminate racial tension, we should eliminate the tension involving this word. And people are going to use it no matter fucking what. It's human nature to do something that you're told not to do. So that's not going to happen. Because your friend did not object does not mean that he didn't find it objectionable. I was, okay. Well, maybe my friends, well, they may have found it a little bit objectionable, but not to an unreasonable extent. They were like, oh, hey man, don't call me that, man. What you doing? You cracker? But not to the point where it was a serious issue, because, I mean, we had, I only did this with just a very few friends who, I mean, we had all known each other since childhood, basically. So they knew that we didn't actually mean that in a harmful way. So they understood that. And we've got along okay. And I mean, if any of them had ever said, hey, I'm offended, I really don't want you using that word, I'd be like, okay, well, if you're uncomfortable with that, I simply won't fucking use it. And it's that simple. It is that simple. And, okay, now, you say, I was the butt of racism throughout school as one of only 2 non-whites in my whole school. Saying that I found their comments offensive would only have given them weapon to hurl back at me. Now, this was another situation I was unaware of. That you were the only one that there were only two black people in your entire school, and you were forced to deal with that. Now that I disapprove of, and I don't like that, and I agree with you there, that under those circumstances, that should have not happened to you. And again, there, I got my condolences against that. As I said, we just have completely different cultures as far as this issue goes, especially. So that's where I stand. Americans seem, when it comes to that, we seem to be a bit more abrasive when it comes to this type of thing. But just at the same time, if you're one of only 2 blacks in a school full of whites, I'm guessing, then that can be quite awkward. So, understand. Once again, I'm out of time. But this 4th installment should do it. Later.